Darren Randolph, born in Dublin. Started off playing for Sunday League, local Sunday League team. Just really started playing as fun with my friends, first of all. Trying to juggle between football and basketball growing up. But then it got to the stage probably around 12, 13, 14, where I started getting letters sent to my house and to the schoolboy club asking me to go back and forth to England on trial. So even then at the time I thought I'll give it a go and just see what it's about. And over time, you know, the conversations I was having with the clubs got more serious, which led to me signing academy scholarship papers with Charlton. So I moved over to Charlton when I just turned 16. And very quickly then realized it went from being, you know, fun with my friends back in Ireland into a more serious like academy setup, where you go in, you have a laugh, and you know there's a bunch of yous around there, and you know you all end up having great stories to tell. But at the time, you're there to obviously break into the first team and make it as a professional football player.
You've played in some big games, Darren, especially in the European Championships in 2016. How do you control your arousal levels playing in front of big crowds? Is there any pre-match
probably from the time I was at Birmingham City, I started working with a sports psychologist. The longer I was playing, the bigger the crowds were getting, the bigger the stage was. And I suppose as well, most sports people, there are times when you do have obviously doubts in your own head. So I started working with him probably back when I was at Birmingham, how to deal with different situations. And you know, you can play as many kind of games as you want, but then, as you said, when you go to like the European Championship stage, where I think our first game was against Sweden in Stade de France, and there's like 95,000 people in the stadium. You know, there's bound to be some nerves and some doubts and some, what if this happens, what if that happens? But you just try, and it's easy to say now looking back. Obviously, you got to just try and stay in the moment. You have the nerves, you know, the day before and the morning of, but by the time the warm-up starts, before you know it, you're back in the change room with your kit on, and then you're walking back out to the tunnel. So I've got my own little routine that I've found work for me over the years, and that's kind of what I've stuck with the whole way through.
If you could relive one day of your football career, what day would it be?
I could relive one day. Probably my Premier League debut. We played Liverpool at Anfield, and it was Robbie Fowler's last game. I think I just turned 20 the day before. That was a good day. I'd like to relive that one. Maybe. Actually, no, I'm going to take that one back. We played Germany in Dublin. Yeah, we played Germany in Dublin. I think they just won the World Cup the year before, and I had to come off the bench after around half an hour. We ended up beating them 1-0, and I ended up having an assist. That's the main reason. I just wanted to put the assist in there. But probably.
That's at Anfield from the Javi Alonso. I still remember that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was why I picked that one. But then I remember Germany as well. So probably the Germany game.
How do you stay motivated to train, day in, day out? What sort of motivates you?
There's always throughout my career, I've had different, goals and targets. Obviously, when I left Charlton, I went to Scotland. When I was in Scotland, my goal was to get to the Championship. When I was in the Championship, my goal was to get to the Premiership. When I got to the Premiership, my goal was to start in the Premiership, which I did. Then that goal then turned to obviously playing for my country. Ended up doing that. Then it was obviously to get to a tournament. We managed to do that. And I suppose now it's so competitive that you probably need stuff like that to keep you going. On top of the fact that nobody likes to lose. At the minute, we're doing a lot of losing, which sucks. And the mood, the mood isn't always the best. Then when you go into training,
Yeah,
go on. Did you have something else?
well, I was just going to say when it's these big long-term goals seem quite distant, or you're not quite meeting them. How do you then carry on to stay motivated? Is there things that the coaches do or say, or personally, like, have you got certain ways of maintaining that motivation when these goals seem quite a long way off?
Yeah, well, you're right. At the time, obviously, all my goals were long-term goals. So you kind of have to be committed to making sacrifices, to put in the work and continue just probably working hard so that the long-term goals actually happen.
Yes, it's just keeping sort of the eye on that.
It's just persistence and having that belief. Again, some days you wake up and I don't know. Some days you wake up and you think, oh, I don't want to go training. I don't want to leave the bed. I don't want to do a gym session. I don't want to go for a run. But it's all stuff that has to be done. And I believe those little things, in the end, whether it takes a week, month, year, all that stuff, those pay off.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think a lot of students will be able to relate to those moments where they don't want to do those little small things, and the thing keeping that eye on the bigger thing. Yeah,
keeping your eye on the prize, and doing the smaller things, and mainly because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
It's doing what's needed and what's supposed to be done.
Have you got advice for any young goalkeepers that are not at club yet?
My advice to young goalkeepers and young players in general that aren't at a club and maybe getting frustrated, it kind of touches on what I just said previously, is just persistence and keep working hard, keep grafting, and to believe, because you do see cases of players, getting a break at a later age. I didn't start playing for probably my country until I was 28, but I had been going away in international squads since the age of 19. So that was all those years of just traveling away, basically just to train and watch games before I actually got the chance to play. So yeah, at times, like I said, I was thinking, oh, another trip where I'm not going to play. I'll just go and watch. But ideally, my goal was that I wanted to play. So that's kind of what kept me going. So it's just persistence and to have that belief, and don't let anybody else tell you tell you any different for the amount of people that I've had tell me through my career that, you know, this is your level or that's your level or you won't do this or, you know, that kind of talk.
I've got a question from Clarice. And her question is, how do you deal with criticism from your teammates and coaches?
Criticism from teammates and coaches is normal. It happens on a daily basis in training. It's just part and parcel. At the end of the day, the criticism from your teammates and your coaches is because they care and they want to win and they want the best. So it can be to help you and it can be to help the team. Unfortunately, it's part and parcel of sport. You know, I don't know many teams that would win everything if everybody ran around, you know, being nice and paying each other compliments all the time and people not falling out. You know, we criticize each other, you know, in training every day. It doesn't mean that we don't speak and we don't fall out. You know, unfortunately, in workplaces, arguments happen, but it's only because you're trying to find a solution to difficult times or to problems.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, when you were younger, so right at the beginning of like your football career, did you have any role models that you looked up to? You know, didn't have to be anyone famous, but like friends, family, etc.
Yeah, well, my biggest role model was my dad. My dad moved from Florida to Ireland in the 1980s to play basketball. And anywhere he went, you know, I wanted to go. I would see him, you know, training in the house, stretching in the house, going for runs, you know, stuff that necessarily I was probably, well, now being older, looking back, thinking he probably didn't need to do, because although it was professional in Ireland, it wasn't, you know, huge money he was getting paid. But again, they were habits he had from being in college in America. And then for me growing up, it was kind of what he instilled in me. So yeah, we still have conversations now. There's still times and phrases that I remember, you know, that stick out on my head from time to time. But yeah, the discipline of again putting in the extra work, doing the stuff that you don't want to do when you don't feel like doing it, because it's needed and it's the right thing to do. You know, you get in what you put out. If you're not willing to do the work, you're not going to get anywhere. You know, nobody in life, in any walk of life, has gotten anywhere just by doing nothing.
How you doing, Darren?
Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good. Good to hear some of those answers you're giving. I was just here writing, taking down notes. For me, I think it's one of the big questions I had is, as obviously it's a high pressure environment, what hobbies, or do you have any hobbies that allow you to switch off from all the pressures and stresses from what you're doing?
Probably over the years, as I've probably progressed and probably got to higher levels. You know, I used to love, you know, watching football, talking about football, and now I find myself, you know, trying to avoid it. I honestly, I don't watch that many games unless they're big matches. I won't watch them. So I don't know, what do I do? I start reading a lot more. I'll fill my time doing like yoga or mobility sessions. Started doing an online like stocks and shares course, just something kind of totally opposite to what I'm used to doing on a daily basis. And indeed.
How you doing, Darren? You well?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Good. I've got a couple of questions if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The first one is, who's the best manager or coach you've played under, and what made them so good?
Oof. Um,
All right, this won't go like viral, so it's safe.
Moises in the back here.
I was gonna say it depends. It depends who sees this answer. I don't know. I've had a couple of managers that probably tactically haven't been spot on, but their man management has been brilliant. So they've got the best out of the players. And then I've also had, like I'll give one example. And I had Tony Pulis at Middlesbrough. Now, any other player that's ever kind of played under him will say the training is quite repetitive, and you don't do kind of any or much kind of small-sided games. You do mostly, team shape and defensive organization. But that worked, going into games, because I think the season that he was our manager, I think we had although we were fifth or sixth in the league, we were first in terms of chances conceded, or goals conceded, should I say? And that was obviously down to the time and the detail that was spent on the training pitch. But then if I flip it kind of the other way, let's say I could go to somebody like a Slaven Bilic in my first spell at West Ham, and his man management skills were unbelievable. And we were playing five-a-sides, for fun. And that first season when he arrived was unbelievable. So yeah, I can't. There are two people I've picked out. I've had loads of managers. I can, Alan Pardew, Ian Dowie, Phil Parkinson, Jonathan Woodgate, Gary Monk. Who have I got? I've had Mick McCarthy, Martin O'Neill. Again, Mick McCarthy was the same. He's very detailed in what he did, but at the same time, his man management skills were brilliant as well. I think he's the main reason. Well, he is the reason why we're in the playoffs now for the Euros next year.
Yeah, I miss Slav. Thanks for that.
Wow.
Second lot of questions, if you don't mind. We talk about home field advantage. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of home teams are not necessarily winning as often as they would without a crowd. How much of a difference is it playing at home and having a home crowd advantage? Is there a huge difference between Upton Park and the Olympic Stadium? And what was it like to play at the last ever game at Upton Park?
Yeah, we noticed that, especially because obviously the German league started before we did, and we had noticed, just like you said, that more away teams were getting wins, and the crowd do play a factor, because there's some places that you go to that the crowd kind of do make it more intimidating, and your game plan may be a bit different. You may not start the game the same way you would when there's no crowd, because sometimes when you go away from home, you want to try and keep the crowd quiet for the first 10-15 minutes, try and get them frustrated and to turn on their own team, and then make their own players nervous to make a pass or make a mistake. So that could probably be one of the main reasons. What was the other question after that?
Is there a big difference between Upton Park and the Olympic Stadium?
Oh yeah. The atmosphere at the Bowling was unbelievable, because the fans were right on top of you. For an away team coming there, it was very hostile. I've spoke to a lot of players that have said they hated going there, and going to the Olympic Stadium, it's a nice stadium, nice setup. Obviously the fans are far away from the pitch, so yeah, you hear the noise, but they're not on top of you like they were in the old stadium. So, but I think that's happened to a few teams that have moved stadiums. That hasn't everything hasn't been brilliant, straight from the off. I think it's just taken a while to get used to having a new stadium, and trying to find that kind of identity within the stadium, within the Olympic Stadium. If you compare the two stadiums, they're chalk and cheese. They're totally different. And then also to be involved in the last game, again, that's going down in history to get, obviously, beat Man United, get the win. I still have pictures, like blown up pictures, that will be framed and put up. Because again, that's another moment in my career that's huge.
Yeah, it was a brilliant game. I remember watching it. Thank you, Darren. Cheers.
No problem.